Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really exciting. We are pulling back the curtain on a $24 billion corporate giant that quietly touches your life every single day. We're looking at a life sciences and diagnostics innovator whose sheer scale and their incredibly methodical approach to business and sustainability are just fascinating to unpack. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the macro scale of the Danaher giant, break down their 3 pillars of health, explore the Danaher Business System, look at their strategy for a sustainable future, and finally, their real-world impact. Let's jump right in.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the Danaher giant and its global footprint.
Before we look at how they operate, we really need to wrap our heads around their sheer magnitude. $23.9 billion. That was Danaher's staggering revenue in 2023 alone. That number absolutely establishes them as a heavyweight in the corporate landscape. But, a number like that doesn't just materialize out of thin air. That massive revenue doesn't happen by accident. It's driven by 63,000 associates. We're talking about a sprawling, highly coordinated workforce operating across more than 50 countries and within 15-plus distinct operating companies. It's practically a small city of innovators.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 3 pillars of health and what they actually do.
And this brilliantly illustrates where that 2023 revenue actually comes from. It's like a giant puzzle divided into 3 core pieces. You have Diagnostics leading the pack at $9.6 billion, Biotechnology right behind at $7.2 billion, and Life Sciences coming in at $7.1 billion. It is a remarkably balanced portfolio, and it's focused entirely on human health and scientific advancement. Now, zooming in a bit, within those 3 pillars are some incredibly recognizable brands. In biotechnology, you have Cytiva. In diagnostics, you'll find names like Beckman Coulter, Cepheid, and Radiometer. And in life sciences, companies like Abcam, Aldevron, Paul, and Leica Microsystems. These aren't just abstract corporate assets. These are the actual, tangible tools and tech used by your doctors, researchers, and medical professionals all over the globe every single day. All right, Section 3, the Danaher Business System, or the operational engine. So you might be wondering, how on earth do 15 distinct companies across 50 countries stay aligned and efficient? Well, they use a shared secret weapon called the Danaher Business System, or DBS for short. They define it as their foundational system of continuous improvement and culture. It is literally the core engine ensuring that every single part of this massive conglomerate is constantly learning, iterating, and getting better. It's exactly how they reduce time to market and solve really complex customer challenges. This system is fueled by 4 very specific core values applied rigorously across the board. First, Kaizen, which translates to continuous improvement, is their way of life. Second, innovation defines their future. Third, the best team wins. And fourth, when customers talk, they listen. This isn't just corporate fluff or a catchy slogan on a breakroom poster. It is a tangible management methodology applied to everything from talent acquisition to product development. What's really interesting about this slide is that this stunning photo of summer flowers wasn't taken by a hired professional. It was actually captured by Jake Walker, an associate at Beckman Coulter Life Sciences. Danaher featured associate photography throughout their 2024 sustainability report, which serves as a perfect, grounded transition into how they view their responsibility to the world. Which brings us to Section 4, Strategy for a Sustainable Future and Integrating ESG. Let's see how that rigorous business system actively drives their sustainability targets. The strategy is built on 4 very structured pillars: innovating products that improve lives and the planet, building the best team, protecting our environment, and reinforcing foundational elements like a sustainable supply chain. It's just as methodically organized as their business segments. And to ensure their internal actions actually have global relevance, Danaher directly aligns these 4 pillars with key United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. They map their efforts to massive global targets like good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water, innovation, and climate action. When you juxtapose their environmental goals with their team goals, the ambition is crystal clear. On the environment side, they've committed to serious science-based targets, aiming for net zero value chain emissions by no later than 2050 and a 50.4% absolute reduction in Scope 1 and 2 emissions by 2032. But right alongside those massive climate targets are rigorous team achievements. In 2023, they reached a 40% global female workforce and maintained 100% total direct compensation pay equity for women globally. That is absolutely huge. Here's another visual breather for us. This stunning lighthouse photograph, again taken by an associate, beautifully captures the natural environment the company is aiming to protect with those net zero targets. It really brings those abstract ESG numbers to life before we transition into the tangible, on-the-ground impact.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds into real-world goals and impact, well beyond the abstract.
Look at this massive figure, $1.5 billion. That was Danaher's research and development spend in 2023. This proves they're putting serious, heavy-hitting capital behind their promise to innovate for both health and the planet. They've even updated their product development tools to explicitly prompt teams to consider customers' sustainability needs right from the initial design and launch phases. And that massive R&D budget, it translates directly to the front lines. What we're looking at here is a researcher actively using Leica Microsystems technology, one of Danaher's key operating companies. And the footprint of this specific tech out in the world is absolutely immense. So the crucial point is this. 55% of scientific articles published in 2023 on the latest microscopy-based findings in cancer research reference the use of Leica Microsystems products. Over half, literally more than half of these critical papers relied on their tools. That is a massive, tangible footprint on global health and scientific progress. Just like water flowing downstream in this associate's photograph, Danaher makes sure their foundational sustainability standards don't just stop at their own factory doors. The ideas flow outward, trickling down through their entire network. Because for a giant like this, sustainability can't just be an internal metric. They enforce it across a massive, incredibly complex global vendor network. In 2023, they worked with over 50,000 global suppliers. That represents $8 billion in supply chain spending. And through a partnership with EcoVadis, they actively assess the sustainability practices of suppliers, representing a massive 75% of that annual spend. To pull the whole shebang together today, this quote from Danaher's president and CEO, Rainer M. Blair, really hits the nail on the head. He points out that when you marry that massive scale in innovation with a deeply ingrained system of continuous improvement, the potential for long-term positive impact is basically limitless. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to consider. How might other corporate giants learn from this model? What actually happens when a company integrates sustainability not just as a PR afterthought, but directly into their foundational business systems and continuous improvement engines? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.